Hello.
So nice
Hello.
to
Hello.
meet you.
So nice to meet you as well.
Where
Thank
are
you.
you? Are you in
I,
California?
I'm in California. I'm in Fillmore, California. I'm living on a farm called Soahart Farm
Oh,
that my
wow.
sister's been running for the last couple years. We're a organic, regenerative fruits and vegetable farm, and yeah, I'm here. This is actually hops. That's hops for making organic beer
Oh,
that have just recently been harvested that you can see behind me.
oh,
And
cool.
yeah.
I love that. I love that you're talking beer, but you're using the word organic in front of it. That's fantastic. So, anyhow,
Yeah.
well, I'm excited to have you on, and a lot of my audience may not know who you are and what you do, but the reason I think your message is so important is really because when we're going to have a conversation about health and viruses and all this other stuff, it doesn't exist without really having a good conversation about our earth, because that is why we're seeing different viruses. That's why things are changing and mutating and jumping species and all this other stuff. So tell everybody who you are and what you do, and we'll go from there.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Rylan Engelhart, and I've been in the restaurant business as an entrepreneur for the last 15 years. My family and myself started an organization called Cafe Gratitude and another organization called Gracias Madre.
Oh yeah.
And really, for 15 years, we've been really pioneering health and wellness, organic food, plant-based food, nutrient-dense food, food is medicine, and really creating spaces, restaurants that are environments where people can be awakened to, the opportunity to be grateful and to be that health, beyond the food sustenance, really what are the conversations, where is our attention, where is our awareness, and really wanting to create environments and service that are eliciting and awakening people to being more grateful.
Love
We've
that.
we've had a big premise around when we're in a state of gratitude, we become a gift to the world versus a vacuum or a consumer to the world. And so that's kind of my 15 years of the last 15 years of my life. I've been running restaurants and food service and health and wellness. And, we've opened, 7 restaurants in Southern California over the last 10 years. And then just about 3 months ago, I transitioned fully to taking on an executive director role with the organization that I co-founded 7 years ago, which is called Kiss the Ground.
Definitely want to talk about Kiss the Ground in just a second, and I've been looking at some of the work you guys have been doing, and it's really great work. But let's talk about food for a minute, because we do all
Okay.
this debate on like what the right food is to eat and what the right diet is and all that other good stuff. And we don't really talk too much about the emotional experience of food. So can you connect those dots for the folks listening today? Like, what does being grateful have to do with being healthy? So help them understand how those two concepts might be linked up together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll first say that I'm not a doctor or a scientist or a psychologist,
Really
but
boring.
I
That's
I
okay.
have my own experience, and my experience of understanding how to be healthy myself, and being an ambassador of health within my community, and observing through that observational
Right.
experience that health, there's a mind body, connection. I mean, I think it goes back to even Jesus said it's more important what comes out of your mouth than what goes into your mouth.
Yes.
And what are the experiences? We live in the human experience, and how are we feeling? And when we have a great meal, there's an opportunity for us to feel well, to feel nourished, to feel healthy. But if we're in a state of complaint or a make wrong, or of suffering over something, you know, we all can know, we all have an example of being in all the right circumstances, having all the right, whether it's, you know, money, on vacation, you know, the perfect, beautiful person standing next to us, and we're suffering because, you know, where we are in our minds. So, you know, health has a lot to do with where we are in our minds and where our attention is in this present moment. And so, you know, we've put a lot of focus on, you know, the remembering of what can we be grateful for. And I think if you look at pretty much anyone who's sharing about, you know, how to live a happy, healthy life, gratitude will be somewhere in the center of their practice and their, you know, what they do daily to feel well, buoyant, healthy, and good about life. So, yeah, when we're grateful, we're full, we're present, and that's where the joy of life is. If we are present with what's happening, we can experience that which is happening. The best circumstances can be happening in all of our lives, but if we're not grateful about them, we actually can't receive them with an appreciation. You know, it's just water under the bridge. It actually didn't impact us.
Yeah.
And so,
are there easy ways for us to create a mindset of gratitude before we eat or before we do something? What are your top 3 things that you would say, like, hey guys, do this? I know, like, in our home, prayer is a part of it. Like, before you sit down to eat, maybe saying a prayer of support.
Yeah, we hold hands. You know, we as a family, we hold hands. And whether we have groups of 3 or groups of, you know, 50, we take time and we hold hands and we express what we're grateful for in this present moment, because that's actually, I would say that out of all the meals that I've had, it's the moments where we actually brought some focus and attention to allowing for people to express their hearts and their gratitude, which is actually what had the meal be the most tasty. I actually have said over the years, I think I wrote a Huffington Post article called "Gratitude is the best sauce." And when we're grateful, you know, things taste better. The sweetness of life, the flavors of life are brighter and more alive.
Yeah, that's so great. How do we teach gratitude to our kids? Do you have any tips? I don't know. How old are your children?
I have a 2-year-old.
Okay.
And I am so proud to say that he's asking me before we were about to eat the other day, and my son goes, "Papa, what are you grateful for?" And I'm like, oh my God, what I'm grateful for is that my son is asking me what I'm grateful for, before I'm asking him what he's grateful for.
I love that. That's great.
And yeah, I think the practice is, you know, really in partnership, whether in business, with your team, you know, asking people, what are they present to? Where is their attention right now? And then, you know, allowing for people to, you know, express, you know, we started our team call right now, Kiss the Ground, just at 9 o'clock this morning. And we started the meeting with, where this week did you feel most alive and creatively expressed? And that was how we started the meeting. And, you know, having everybody share to that answer, was the way that we began the meeting, which allowed for people to, you know, connect to, that experience of gratitude, which then just creates a buoyancy and aliveness, for, you know, the work and, you know, all the mundane to get done, being carried by this experience of fullness, you know, that's generated through that practice of gratitude.
I love that. So I want to talk about Kiss the Ground for sure, because I'm fascinated by that, but you have quite the farm life. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, are you working a farm, owning a farm? It sounds, from what I can understand, it's in your family as well. So give us a little bit of a sense of that aspect.
Yeah, I grew up on I grew up on an old dairy farm in upstate New York that was no longer a dairy, but it was, a barn, and we had vegetable gardens and an orchard and a pond. And my parents were major hippies. It was actually my mom and her twin sister married brothers,
Oh my
and
gosh.
we all lived in one household together,
Oh wow.
one bank account,
What?
and
Really? Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
radical. So, I grew up pretty connected to nature and to where our food comes from, and then became kind of separated from that for, many years of my early adult life, living in cities, living in San Francisco, living in Los Angeles. And then 7 years ago, I was in New Zealand at a healthy living conference, and I basically had an aha awakening moment around how the bigger cycle of life works, and that how I, as a human being, was part of the bigger cycle of nature. And I just, even though I knew a lot about sustainability, I knew a lot about conscious capitalism, I knew a lot about, or I knew a little bit about a lot, I didn't really get how human beings could be a beneficial role in the ecological system, specifically around agriculture. Even though I had, grown up a little bit on a farm and grew up in a vegetable garden, I just didn't really get the way that photosynthesis works, the way trees and plants work with soil, and the whole carbon cycle, the water cycle. And I basically had an aha moment where I got there was a way that human beings could actually reverse and regenerate the deteriorating planet that we stand upon. And I actually saw for the first time how life could be existing 7 generations forward. In an instant, I just saw
Wow.
the architecture and the ecology and the connected dots of that. And it was literally a spiritual awakening of this realization. And from that moment forth, I just knew that was my life purpose, was to, have the understanding of regeneration and the possibility of regeneration was my life's work, to awaken and inspire people to understand and know that. And so your question was about my farm. So I actually have been not living and not connected to land. And, I had a garden in my Venice house for, many years. I had a compost and, at little ways, but just June 1st was actually when I moved to the farm where I'm living right now, where my sister's been growing fruits and vegetables in an organic and regenerative way for the last couple of years. So I'm actually just starting to practice what I've been preaching about and what I've been educating and advocating about for the last 7 years through the nonprofit Kiss the Ground, and just starting to take baby steps in my own life to understand this relationship of how we can develop a much more intimate relationship with land and place, and understanding our role in nature.
Oh my goodness, so interesting. I'm so curious about your vision and what you saw. I've had those flashes when it comes to medicine, of seeing everything connect back up and come together, and the communication of it sometimes is very difficult, right? Because we've got it up here, but then to get it out is a whole another story. So is this how Kiss the Ground was formed? And tell us a little bit more about Kiss the Ground and the work you guys are doing. And there's a movie coming out too. So tell me a little bit about all of that.
Yeah. So Kiss the Ground was born from that insight that regeneration is possible, and that up until that moment, I didn't, even though I had a lot of optimism, I didn't actually really see a pathway forward for humanity without some, with how we're, degrading our soils, putting plastic into our oceans, climate change, ocean acidification. I just didn't see how, what was the pathway forward without some magic bullet of technology somehow going to, suck carbon out of the atmosphere, which I didn't really have a belief in that was possible either. So I just didn't see how it could work. And, to then understand that photosynthesis in plants working with soil are actually the very mechanism that has had the planet cool and become balanced over 500 million years, whether it was when an asteroid hit the planet or whether it was when volcanoes erupted and, the dinosaurs got all extinct. What was the thing that brought the climate back into balance? And photosynthesis and soil, and that mechanism was the thing that created a balanced climate. And to then see that human beings could work with photosynthesis, plants and soil, with regenerative agriculture to actually be a climate change solution, and that we could not only reverse and pull carbon down as a problem out of the atmosphere and put it into the soil as a solution through regenerative agriculture, that everyone who eats and is committed to health for their families could actually be the cavalry that could support that revolution. And so it just became a very clear, oh my God, I can see how humanity can get this path and get this opportunity and move this ball forward. And, my thought was, okay, this is an idea whose time has come, and I'm going to create an organization that is elevating this story and this awakening and this message, and tell the stories of the pioneering visionaries and practitioners and wisdom keepers of this knowledge, and have them have their story be known, such that this can be part of the general human lexicon of understanding. I'm sure your audience is familiar with Zach Bush. I know he's become a huge advocate over the last 5 years for regenerative ag, or maybe even longer. And Farmers Footprint actually was an organization that we supported in their infancy to get their nonprofit status as their fiscal sponsor, and supporting their work. So, but yeah, Kiss the Ground, we're an education advocacy organization creating, courses, classes, media content to educate farmers, teachers, students, activists in how we can support the regeneration of our planet. And we've, in our programs, we've trained over 3,000 advocates in 25 countries around the world to be prolific and proficient spokespeople and advocates for soil and regenerative agriculture, because we saw how powerful we were when we started being able to communicate these ideas and principles articulately and passionately and powerfully, that we were able to change people's minds, whether it was, somebody at a local policy level, or it was a business owner, or it was, someone in our school system that could set up a composting system, or even if it was just our neighbor, we were able to change people's minds and change people's actions. So we just thought, well, how do we duplicate ourselves? Let's create an advocacy program, an education program. So that's called Soil Advocacy Training. And it launches on September 22nd, along with our feature-length film that we co-produce with filmmakers Josh and Rebecca Takal, who are award-winning filmmakers who made the film Fuel some 10 years ago that won at Sundance. And now this film is premiering on Netflix, and we have a desired commitment to have 1 million-person synchronized global watch party on September 22nd. So we're asking people...
date down for sure, and promote it with you.
So the film's coming out, and really the intention is to our goals are to have 25,000 advocates to trained over the next 5 years, and then having 5,000 farmers and millions of acres of land under management in a regenerative way through our programs and through our classes.
Fascinating. How would you best describe regenerative agriculture? How is it different than what's happening right now? And what are some of the key principles there?
Yeah, so most conventional agriculture, I think we in the health space understand organic agriculture, which is good. It's better than conventional agriculture, but most agriculture right now has a degenerative effect on the life, the carrying capacity, the biodiversity of the land that it's growing fruit on, whether it's through tilling the ground, plowing the ground, whether it's through the application of chemicals, whether it's synthetic nitrogen, fertilizers, or whether it's through herbicides and pesticides and fungicides, homicide, genocide, pesticide, herbicide, fungicide. They kill. They don't just kill the soil in the microbiome of the soil, but they kill the microbiome of us as human beings who consume that food from those ecosystems. So most of our agriculture has a degrading effect on human health and on ecosystem health through those those things that I just described. Regenerative agriculture, well, organic is good. It's mostly just a list of things you can't use that are so toxic that can't make the organic farming list. Right. And there's there is still some pesticides. There still is some fertilizers that are being used, some that are more natural than others. And really, organic agriculture is in its inception really was designed to be a regenerative agriculture. But as it's become more co-opted by larger ag systems and wanting to be more of just something that can get a higher dollar value to be sold and less the integrity of what's happening on the land, it's become degraded. Whereas regenerative agriculture, really, its focus is it regenerating land? Is it regenerating soil health? Is it regenerating the ability for water to be infiltrated into that soil? Is it generating more biological life in the soil? And so, so regenerative agriculture really is an agriculture where you're focusing on biodiversity, so a variety of crops versus just a monoculture or monocrop system. It's focusing on having a rotation versus just growing one thing in the same place every year. It focuses on animals being integrated into a farming system, which is interesting as a vegan restaurateur and someone who's been a proponent of a plant-based lifestyle for most of my life. I really have come to understand the importance of animals and their integration into farming systems if we want those farming systems to have a regenerative impact on land, because most natural ecosystems, most natural environments have had the interaction, the symbiosis of plants, animals, insects, microbes, and there is life and death in that system. There is that is the web of life, is that life and death, but the overall system is staying healthier and alive over time. And if we think about a beautiful fecund forest or prairie, it's producing food and sustenance for that entire ecosystem, and it hasn't been reliant on synthetic fertilizers, chemicals, pesticides. And so we can design agricultural systems that really mimic and understand the principles of nature, which we say is technology that's been developed over 500 million years to really understand how the web of life works and can actually support abundant food systems based on those principles and not based on something that needs to be bought and sold every year, needing to buy more chemicals every year, needing to buy new seeds every year, needing to buy more inputs every year, but actually getting the land to produce, the soil to produce the fertility, the life, such that the plants can be harvested and produce abundance. And it's, again, this, as a doctor, I think you really get that connection of, we're as a natural, holistic, functional doctor. I'm not exactly sure how you categorize what you do, but I know it's in the vein of some of those. Wanting to get the body to really optimally function and to be able to fight off disease, virus, bacteria, anything that's trying to infiltrate our health. That the body is designed. It's we were so beautifully designed to be healthy, vibrant, well beings, and so. It's the same thing.
Honestly, I say that all the time. I'm like, and I'll tell patients this all the time. The body is pretty amazing. It's pretty incredible. And slight shifts here and there seem to make the world of difference, but can also undo an entire pathway and create disease. And it's fascinating to me, as we really stress the importance of plant-based foods and living a healthier lifestyle and all this other stuff. is there the support for the regenerative ag farmer, the organic farmer? Is there the support? Do the dollars follow that so the policy can follow it? 'Cause I feel like the rub constantly is there's big money and big dollars over here, right? Like conventional agriculture, conventional medicine, conventional systems, but there's not the support over here for those that are seeing and foreseeing some of the problems and the issues in the future. How do we change that? How do we, sort of shift the balance? I've been watching it in relationship to COVID, and it's been really frustrating for me because I'm like, there's a whole conversation here. The reason America is so sick is because America was already sick. So this should not be a massive surprise, and we really need to be working on these different principles of immune health and things like that, rather than so fixated on the next vaccine and the next drug. So for me, it's challenging, but I feel very powerless, to be 100% honest. Like I feel like there's this big, massive system, this big, massive engine. How do you start punching holes in it and supporting a farmer who's thinking like you or following your mission and
yeah. It's a great question, and many days I feel completely overwhelmed and powerless and hopeless. But then, getting to see somebody that is succeeding and regenerating their land and regenerating their health and regenerating their dignity, and seeing what they're doing is truly beneficial to the earth and to their community and to their children, and seeing that transformation and that possibility become real for people, even if it's just somebody getting the principle of the possibility of regeneration as a possibility. I think I'm going to say this for the first time. I'm a possibility popper. I like to pop possibility.
Me too.
I'm popping off at the possibilities.
Yeah.
And so, really, how do I stay inspired? Create a community of possibility poppers, around me. Stay connected to, people who are, doing this work, and getting to see people succeeding and, having those transformations. And then, at a deep kind of spiritual, intuitive, and I'm just grateful that I had the life that I have, that it has this innately within me, is like, I know that love wins this game. I just know that love wins, and I know that nature bats last, and that nature is batting for balance. And so, I just feel that, after 1,000 no's, there is a yes, and the truth will always be revealed, and balance will be restored. And, if in my lifetime, I just get to, be a salmon swimming upstream and feels like against the resistance, but yet I know that I'm actually going home, and where I'm heading is somewhere that's true and real and has purpose. I feel okay about going against, feeling the resistance.
I love that. I love it.
And
how can we be involved? How can we be involved in this? And
really the big we're at an apex moment. Really, we're at an apex moment in so many ways, but I'll just speak to my little vein, or my little piece of the pie, and that is that, regenerative agriculture and the principle of regeneration as a higher principle in sustainability was non-existent 10 years ago. And now it is on the hearts and minds of so many people as the aspirational and the design principle that we want to be going towards, whether it's in medicine, agriculture, organizational design. And so, that gives me hope. That's exciting, that there is a momentum happening here. And then specifically with Kiss the Ground, we have a film that's about to launch on Netflix, and we have already had 2.5 million people have watched the trailer within 4 or 5 days. And that's a film about soil. It's like, no one's been interested in soil. Soil is as boring as dirt.
Yeah.
But, you know, but people are waking up to know there's actually something really alive and important beneath our feet, and it's actually a solution. And not only is it a solution to our human health and our deteriorating, you know, wellness, but it's actually a solution to the greater existential crisis of climate change. And how do we, you know, what do we do with that excess carbon? Well, nature has always had a plan for that excess carbon. If we can actually just behave and be a supporting cast member in the cast of nature versus trying to be the dominating, you know, primary role in the film, and not wanting to play with all the other characters in the ecosystem. So again, the film is coming out September 22nd. We have an opportunity for this film to really be the inconvenient truth of our time, of this now moment, that really is showing the earth-based, nature-based solutions, and how regenerative agriculture is a real tangible solution to, you know, our human health and our global health crises, as well as, you know, the climate crisis. And, you know, we're here in California with 300 plus fires happening over the last week.
Yes.
And, you know, nature is whispering. You know, the coronavirus is nature whispering. Yep. You know, I've said this, and, you know, some could call me a quack for saying this, but, you know, human beings, we eliminated our predators, and, you know, and nature always works in predator-prey relationships to create balance. And, you know, the predator at this point is microscopic, you know, disease, virus, and things that are essentially taking, you know, us down because we're out of balance. And it sounds like uncompassionate, and I'm not. You know, I have a lot of compassion for people who are sick and people who have died and lost family members, and, you know, it's tragic, it's terrible. But the greater whisper of, if we don't focus on the basis of our health, which is the basis of our relationship to the land and the life and the soil and the plants and the animals that eating the plants that become the sustenance of our lives, if we're not focused on that base level, you know, health, then we will continue to be sick, and we will continue to be vulnerable to viruses and diseases. And, you know, it's like, I think, I mean, the amount of, you know, 20 years ago, the amount of people that had autism, you know, 1 in 32, I think 3,200, and now it's, or one in 12,000. I can't remember the number Zach was quoting. I know there's 1 in 12,000 or 1 in 3,000, and then it's now 1 in 32 people is having autism. You know, not 1 in 8 or 10 people dying of cancer or heart disease. You know, that's an epidemic. That's an epidemic, and these are lifestyle and food related and lifestyle related diseases that we can eliminate if we start to look at the basis of our health. And that, to me, wants to be the shouting from the mountaintop of where we need to start looking to our solutions, and not to think that it's going to be another magic pill, because it's just not. There'll be we've already walked this game out within, you know, big ag, and it's like, okay, we create a pesticide to kill this pest, and then another pest comes, and a super weed comes, and we have to get a bigger, more. And well, that's happening. The ecosystem beneath that war on that individual, you know, pest or microbe or virus, the ecosystem is collapsing. And that is our human health. That is our human health is collapsing under all these, you know, being inundated with you know, pharmaceuticals and things that are not actually dealing with the root of our health.
I'm right there with you. I see it in the exam room. You're seeing it in the farm. We know that these things are connected. It is shocking how the rate of disease, and it's not just disease, it's the type of disease, it's the neurodevelopmental stuff, the children having so many different issues, very minor whispering issues to major severe issues when it comes to neurodevelopment. It's the autoimmunity, it's the cancer. We're seeing it firsthand, for sure. And it's very much connected to a lot of what we are surrounded by: pharmaceuticals, pesticides, toxicity, all these other things that we talk about. I think this is such an important thing for people to get their head around and to grasp and to understand. And I'll post the information if you'll send it to me about.
Yeah, really, this specific call to action is to join the Global Watch Party on September 22nd.
Okay.
And then share and invite your communities to join, because we're going for 1 million people strong.
Okay.
And then really, support Kiss the Ground's work. We have an amazing program set up to train farmers over a 3-year transition period to become regenerative land stewards, and the education, hand-holding, soil testing, mentorship through that 3-year period. So support our farmland program to help farmers, threshold or make this, make that threshold, transition that threshold, and then become a soil advocate. Really come and get educated on what I would say is the most exciting movement and advocacy and revolution around, because yes, we have so many beautiful revolutions and kind of social movements happening in this moment, which I am a total supporter of. And if our health is not in order, everything else is secondary. We can't get anything else sorted if we're all sick. And
your power, I keep saying that your health is your power source. So that's got to take priority, but not in the form of more stuff to add to the body, more about getting the body back in balance, to your point. Well, thank you so much. I know your handles are at Kiss the Ground on Instagram, right? So people can go there to learn more information.
Yeah, at Kiss the Ground.
Yeah.
You can sign up there to be part of the Global Watch Party, and you can also get the social sharing assets, so you can share the trailer and have us. We're aiming to have 1 billion people see the trailer. So we've got, we have big dreams and aspirations. And after 7 years of doing this, starting in my living room and now seeing a global movement emerging, I feel really hopeful and inspired, and would love your support and participation to join us.
I will post it. Send me whatever I need to post, and I'll try to make sure our team joins that global party as well. And we'll start our days with gratitude as well in our business. I love that idea. So
yeah, let's end with, what's one thing you're grateful for?
Oh my gosh. I think I'm grateful for, there's so much. It's hard to narrow it. There's so much. I think I'm grateful for all the opportunities I've been given. I think that's probably it. It's just really hard to narrow it down. I'm gifted with an incredible family, an incredible work family, work that I love and enjoy doing. It's really hard to narrow it down. I think I'm just grateful to be here, grateful to be here on the planet and be able to have the energy and the will and the sort of strength of mind to keep doing the things I want to do. So I think I'm grateful for that.
Beautiful. One invitation too, I think would be really cool for your audiences, to do maybe a screening of the film, and then kind of do from a MD doctor, human health perspective, kind of, a discussion. I know Zach Bush and Dr. Mark Hyman are both, allies in this, but, we're always looking for more doctors to be able to make that soil health, human health connection at a very academically trained perspective.
I would love to. I've met Zach, and we use Restore, which is now Ion Biome. We use that in the practice, and I've been following his work. I'm fascinated by all of that, and I believe in it. I'm seeing it. At the end of the day, we're seeing it. We're seeing it in the exam room. We're seeing it in lab work, and we know something is wrong and something's off. And when we start unwinding everything, it leads us back to our environment. And so everything you're talking about is very much on track with that. And there are only so many drugs and vaccines or supplements or things like that we can do to make up for the constant damage. And I'm concerned too about the future generations, because as this continues, I worry about what the next 3 or 4 generations are going to be like or look like in terms of constitutional energy and strength, and even, just their overall makeup, because we're seeing so much shifting and changing when it comes to how things are playing out. So we could talk about this all day. I appreciate your time so much. I want to come see the farm at some point. I'm in California.
Are you in California?
I want to be, but no, I'm not.
Where are you?
I'm in Atlanta.
Atlanta.
I used to travel a lot to California for different things and get my fix, but that hasn't happened with the pandemic. But I am headed out there in October, And my husband and I do hope to eventually at some point be out there. So we'll see. Whatever's meant to be and wherever I'm supposed to be, it'll all work out. But yeah, I'd love to see it at some point.
Beautiful. Will you send me, because we're connected on email, so yeah, I'll send you the social sharing kit, and if you sign on as a social sharing partner and share that with your other allies in this space that would be aligned, that would be really, really helpful and amazing.
We'll do it. We will do
Awesome.
it. We'll keep up all the great work, and hopefully we'll meet in person at some time. And thank you for taking time out of your day to join me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the invitation and the great dialogue. And what I'm grateful for is, being able to share the wisdom and passion from my heart with others, and hopes that it inspires and awakens something within them.
Well, it shows. So keep it up. All right. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Did you guys enjoy that? Hopefully this is such an important topic. And I know that it may sound like it has nothing to do with health, but it has everything to do with health, because our environment is really driving the majority of diseases that we see today. So I hope you enjoyed it. We'll bring on more great guests to keep us educated and ahead of the curve. And I will talk to you guys soon.